Hey guys, this is Dan, aka Stout, and this is Stout Gaming. First of all, I would like to apologize if you hear any noise in the background. There's some construction going on in my apartment building. This is when it's been the quietest, and I think it's the best time for me to do this vocal editing. But if there is still some hammer noises, I do apologize. Second of all, I just wanted to let you know that this video is going to take a different format than my past videos. As you can tell, the battle's already going in the background, and it's going at double speed as opposed to my normal commentary. If you are looking for my normal high-level commentary, this really isn't the place for it, for a very specific reason. In this matchup, I'm playing Izzy, who is leading the other division. We have a divisional system in the Max Double League. And Matt and I, at this point, were tied for first in our division, while Izzy was in first in his division. So if I am fortunate enough to make it to the finals, at this point, he is my most likely opponent, which I'm not going to say is incredibly likely, because everyone in this league is very strong, and he is leading his division, but a lot of his battles have been incredibly close. So neither of us brought a team that we would call our top team for this kind of matchup. As you can tell, he has Turtonator on his team. That's basically really all I need to say. Like, Turtonator's okay, but I don't think it's great going into a team where Landorus is one of your opponent's go-tos. But looking into the battle, he sets up with a pretty hard Trick Room mode, so I want to set up Special Defense, as he's got two Special Attackers. Light Screen, taunting into the NDD to prevent more redirection, and then we're just going to start chipping them down with Dazzling Gleams and Snarls to lower special attack. I just want to stall out Trick Room in this game, and this seems to be my best potential option for how to do so. Expanding Force isn't going to affect Thievel. It's going to do a decent chunk to Tapu Koko. Light Screen's going to end up saving the Koko. Dazzling Gleam will start chunking stuff, and then Snarl to lower the special attack, and we are effectively going to be stalling this Trick Room out, because I have a very fast team this week, except for Regirock, which I brought from memes. There's really no other way to say it. I just want to let everyone know that I will be taking my future battles and prep more seriously, but it was sort of a way for me to have a bit of a relaxing week against a very strong opponent, and he also did the same way, so moving forward, I'm also going to be adding someone to my front office, which I've never really had. Typically, I build by myself, but I have a friend, Grant, who is newer to the competitive side of Pokemon and very interested in Draft League, so he's going to be helping me out on the front office side. Interesting note about my team, I meant to put Haze on Politoed to counter Colossal and Blastoise and built the entire team around it, and then decided that I had better ways to deal with those this week, and I don't even know if that's going to be my plan normally in setup weeks, because the more I built around specifically the Colossal, which I thought Haze was going to be the only way I could deal with, I found a lot of other ways to do it. Energy Ball goes into the Protect, because per stereotype, Izzy doesn't know how to read Protects. I'm joking, of course, but that's a shout out to Ryan. And then you see that Snarl is pretty effectively crippling a lot of his Trick Room options. This Politoed is also min speed for Perish Song reasons, although that doesn't help when the Frostmoth has room service. So yeah, I don't really know exactly what's going on here. I legitimately considered Helping Hand Snarling at some point. I actually can't remember if I did that or not, but Scalding into the Frostmoth seems like it's probably my best move. Just continue to reduce its damage output, stall Trick Room, and then let the Kabutops come in and sweep. Kabutop set this week was actually pretty interesting, just because max speed, Colossal, when it gets to +6 speed, hits a speed stat of 360, so I put 121 speed on the Kabutops, because in the rain and with a Choice Scarf, which is what it had, that'll hit speed stat 363 for a guarantee outspeed in the rain into max speed Colossal, and then in the rain, the Politoed's Helping Hand is why it doesn't have Haze, would guarantee even on a fairly bulky Colossal that Liquidation would pick up the KO, and there was no way for him to switch in Hippowdon to trigger the Sand and trigger the Colossal the same turn, so that really wasn't a consideration for me. So yeah, the Kabutop set I did put a little bit of work into, and I'm pretty happy with it. But Helping Hand Rock Slide is just going to start cleaning at this point. I've stalled out Trick Room effectively. Rock Slide is going to do the big damage and just start acquiring KOs. Unfortunately, Thievel did die, but it continued its streak of picking up KOs with random attacks like Snarl, so all hail Lord Thievel. And then we see Turtonator, which At this point, I go to Google, type in Therapy Turtonator, and look up to see what it actually does, and I know that this Helping Hand Max Rockfall on a Adamant Max Attack Kabutops is going to do serious work. Kabutops just acquires KOs whenever I run it in any sort of calculations. Like, there's nothing that really survives this thing, which is part of the reason why I picked it up, because too many things were surviving Ludicolo, and too many things survived Kingdra as well. So Kabutops having that 115 base just does major damage to everything. So yeah, game 1, pretty standard, stall out the Trick Room. I don't really think he's going to go for Trick Room. Game 2, but just enjoying the team. So if we're looking at our game 2 setup, we see that I don't really have much of a plan. I feel like Spectrier is going to be decent here because he's not going to go for Trick Room as likely. I think I actually have Hyper Beam on Spectrier this week, which is always a fun move. Thievul just seems good against his team generally. And one interaction between Thievul and the Thundurus is that if I do Electro Web to lower the Thundurus' speed and then give it +2 attack, the Thievul's Foul Play will pick up the KO when it's Dynamaxed. So that's always something to consider. So I go for the fast mode that's not necessarily the rain mode. I do have Choice Scarf on the Kabutops, so even though it is generally a slow Pokemon, it's still fast in this sense. And my opponent's going to lead Urshifu Frostmoth, so I'm going to sack the Kabutops here. There's not really a good way for me to not, although because the Kabutops is Scarfed, there's a chance that I'll outspeed the Urshifu, but as you'll see, his Urshifu is Scarfed as well, so it's going to do a decent chunk to this Kabutops, and by decent chunk I mean 100%. It's gonna OHKO it, because Kabutops' defenses aren't great. I see that Wide Guard is a move that exists. Close combat into the Kabutops. Wide Guard onto that Frostmoth actually is going to play a big role later in my planning. He does not get the opportunity to learn that I'm Choice Scarfed, which I'm happy about. Yeah, that was basically what I had to do. I could have switched in the Koko to make a prediction on him, but I wasn't super comfortable with that because I thought there was a chance he'd try to take out the Thievul based on the fact that Thievul's my best Pokemon and it's not close. He did not, though. So Fake Tears will allow me to start doing a little bit of damage to that Frostmoth down the road. But, like I said, it's a little bit of damage. It's a solidly built Frostmoth. You'll see later that some attacks that should do damage to it really don't. So I Dynamax here. At this point, I think there's a good chance that he's Scarfed. I know this close combat into the Thievul's going to hurt. I'm assuming this Frostmoth is Dynamaxing. I can't remember if I calced the Thievul to outspeed Scarfed Urshifu with the bonus. I did not. Okay, so yeah, that makes sense. So the Thievul's going to go down. In the future, I might look more into Scarf options when determining the speed stat for Thievul, but that wasn't really... Thievul into Urshifu was not the matchup I was considering because I know it's a rough matchup all around. This Hailstorm's going to do a decent chunk to the Koko. It's rather unfortunate that I wasn't able to get it to -2 SPDF. That Scarfed Urshifu did put in some work. I know this Koko's got one more turn to live, so I'm just going to let it die, basically. I need to get the Spectrier in, try to do some damage. Hyper Beam Spectrier, probably not my best moment, but like I said, I didn't want to bring my 2 to 3 best ideas against this team. Like, obviously, I'm still running a decent team against his. The Scarf Kabutops, specifically to beat the Colossal. I had some tech for NDD Blastoise, but he ended up bringing neither of those. Hard Trick Room was also not what I expected. I did call that Protect by doubling into the Frostmoth and then doing approximately 0 damage to it. It's way too bulky when maxed. The Spectrier doesn't have a chance to clean up here, so I'm just going to go for this Executor for differential, because that was one of my points of potential improvement, was to play more for differential and not just for wins and losses. So here's a major differential move that I'm going for. See, what's really key is to Shadow Ball the Executor when you're going to get OHKO'd by the Frostmoth. There's no way around understanding just how key that is. I guess if Frostmoth is super weak, there's a chance Spectrier does survive that, and then I might be able to pick up the KO when it loses its Dynamax, but that is not the case this game. And then we go into Game 3. I want to bring Regirock this game. I I don't really know why, considering a lot of the things on his team. I mean, I guess it does decently into the Frostmoth, but I assume the Frostmoth has Energy Ball. It does sort of wall out that Thunderous. It has 200 defense, which means the Urshifu attacking into it isn't going to do too much, even with close combat. Like, it's still going to do a lot, but it's not going to do as much as you'd think. And I think that the Regirock in general is going to be a solid bring here. At this point, I want to make clear before we get to the crucial turns in the game. I don't know the speed stat on Executor. That's important for later, and I just want to make that clear. So if we're looking here, Electric Surge on the Coco triggers, the Regirock's out. I have a feeling that he's going to go for an attack into the Regirock, and I sort of want to max guard it, because while I said the Urshifu doesn't do a lot into Regirock, it's still not something that I want to eat if I can avoid it while using Dazzling Gleam on this Coco to try and clean it up. Like, it's a mistake. Yeah, max guarding here is a mistake. I should just be willing to body the attack that Regirock is designed to body, because this Poison Jab into the Coco, and he double targets into the Coco, which he does call this Protect, so take that, Ryan, I guess. He does call this Protect. I mean, sort of doubles into the Coco. It does pick up the KO on the Coco, and now Regirock's in a weird position. I'm pretty sure it can body anything that is thrown at it here, and now here's my first instance of not knowing what the Executor speed tier is. Can a min-speed Regirock outside of Trick Room outspeed it? We're going to find out. And then Politoed, I think I Helping Hand here to try and guarantee the outspeed, or not the outspeed, the KO on the Executor, because again, I wasn't really running calcs this battle. And here he Dynamaxes the Frostmoth, and I'd calced Frostmoth, Max Grass, and then Executor Energy Ball into the Regirock, and I should survive it. However, I made a crucial misplay. I'd calc that before the battle, because I figured he's going to bring the Frostmoth, and I'm only bringing the Regirock if he has a Trick Room mode. Because I forgot to include the change to Grassy Terrain here. Now, Regirock, given its percent, is probably, like, that's probably going to KO it from a max special attack. I ran the calcs after the battle. In Grass, like, there is a chance that I survive with 2 low rolls from those 2 attacks, but given what his sets were, it wasn't likely. So Regirock, I know, is faster than, or is slower than the Executor at this point. So Executor is above min-speed base 50 Pokemon. Now, where is it compared to min-speed base 70 Pokemon? That's an excellent question that we're going to find out the answer to. So here, I understand that the way out is for my Kabutops to Rock Slide, because it is Scarfed. He doesn't know this at this point, and if you listen to our commentary, I said something like, flinch, 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 yes. And that was basically my game plan, was to go for the flinch on the Executor, and hopefully be able to pick up the KO pretty soon with this Kabutops. Now, Helping Hand, Rock Slide is still going to be my way to go, because Max Frostmoth, I really don't think can survive it, but, you know, he could be max defense, max HP, because that's the type of guy he is. Thunderous is 100% not surviving it, though. So, assuming I don't miss, this Executor is trying to get extra healing from the Grassy Terrain. Now, I take out the Thunderous, and I know that there is Wide Guard on the Frostmoth, and I am locked into Rock Slide. Now, you can hear in our joint commentary, live commentary, I say something like, and here comes the Wide Guard, I gotta figure out what to single target into. That's what's known as a bluff, because I didn't want him to Wide Guard, and that's one of the things about live battle commentary with both people, is you've gotta mess around like that. And I thought if he did Wide Guard, then my only shot was for Politoed to be the slowest thing on the field, which I'm not sure if it is or not, and to go from there. So I Perish Song. Now, I have no idea if Executor's faster or slower, except now I know it's slower because it just Energy Balled into the Kabutops. So now, my out is for Politoed to kill the Executor with a Scald after it gets one more turn of healing off of Grassy Terrain, because he's just going to protect, attack, protect. Do I regret my play with Perish Song? Yeah, it was probably a mistake there, because I didn't know the Executor speed tier, and I should have committed to my out being Helping Hand with the Rock Slide and then clean up with Scald afterwards. As you see, it does survive there. Executor chunks the Politoed, but he just has to protect for us both to die, and because Politoed is faster, it will give the win to him. That's how the battle systems work. But honestly, in this matchup where we both brought sort of meme teams, no Pokemon being alive at the end of the third battle is really the only way that this battle should be going. And technically, I have a better differential because Politoed kills itself and kills Executor, so he doesn't get the kill on Politoed, so that's just me sniping differential, which I'm happy with. But good games to my opponents, and I look forward to coming back next week.